Hi everyone, this is Selena Kraus and welcome to another card making video. This video is part of a blog hop for the new Trinity Stamps Enchanted Woods release. So for the hop info, look down in the description to see who is next in the hop so you can follow along. So let's get started. For today's card, I'm using the new Rainbow Snail stamp set and coordinating dies, and I've already pre-cut about 10 of the snails. Also have a mask or the negative that I will use in my MISTI to stamp a bunch of those snails at one sitting. So not really at one sitting, but at one, like at the same time. Kind of it's very good for mass producing. So what I'm doing now is I'm positioning the die cut into the negative, and I pulled all the stamps from the stamp sheet, the one that's printed. So I'm using it as a guide. I secured it into my MISTI, and it's there secure with the magnets and the sticky mat. And I positioned the stamp on top and then picked it up with the door of my MISTI. And now we have perfectly positioned body of the snail. I'll repeat the same process with all the layers, rainbow layers of the shell. So I'm stamping with light gray ink for the body of the snail. I'll be just using one of the snails for my card today, but I will save the rest for future use. So I'm repeating all of those with gray. Once we're done with the body, we can move on to the shell. So I'm starting with the largest arc of the rainbow, and I'm repeating the same process. I'm using the printed sheet from the stamp set as a guide to position that layer. Next, I'm stamping with blue, and I'll repeat the same thing on all of the snails. So I'm doing two types of snails. One are bright and cheery colors, the other ones are more muted or more pastel colors. So you'll see that in a minute. You can see here in the upper right corner I have two stacks. One are bright, the other one are more pastel or muted. So now it's time for the second arc of the rainbow, and I'm repeating again the same process. Now we'll go with green, and I'm starting with the muted here. I have the muted colors snail here, and repeat the same using the same color, and then I'll move to the bright. Clean up my stamp before that, and then move to the brighter colors. You can see here we have that bright green. Okay, we're cleaning that stamp. It's time for the third layer of the rainbow. And again, the same process using that printed sheet from the stamp set as a guide to position my stamp. Now I'm using yellows, and I'll repeat the same process on all of the cute little snails. I really like how these turned out, and I think they're the cutest little snails I've ever seen. Okay, now we're almost done. We're going with the muted colors. Okay, now the last layer, the center. Then we're gonna add the eyes and the little dots around the rainbow, and then the little cheeks on the snail. Okay, we're doing the last one. Here I'm using pinks, kind of pink red. Okay, now it's time to add those dots around. And I'll be using black ink for that, so at the same time I'll stamp the dots and also the eyes and the mouth of the little snail. For some stamping, starting with the rainbow part, and now I will do the eyes and the mouth. And I'll stamp on all of the snails. You can see how these snails turn to be very cute and how they're coming together very quickly. We're almost done here. We have a couple more to go, and then we'll do the cheeks. Okay, I have that last snail. I'm positioning the cheeks image, and then lining up the stamp and picking it up with the door of the MISTI. And I'll stamp those in pink. I think that looks pretty nice. And I'll repeat the same thing on all of the snails. Once we're done with the snails, I'll move on stamping the coordinating, not the coordinating, but the accompanying image that go with the snail, the little hat, the little heart, and the little happy birthday message. So I'm starting with the hat and with the heart. I'm stamping the solid images, and then I'll stamp the line image for the hat, the layering image, and the sentiment using black ink. I'm again using the same process I did as for the snail. Okay, let's now start with the sentiment and with the hat. I'm lining it up, picking up with the MISTI and stamping. And I'll repeat the same process. I apologize here, you were able to see my head and my hair. I was trying to get closer to the MISTI so I can see better. Okay, we have a few more to go. Okay, so we have everything together and I'm just trying to determine now which snail I wanted to use. I decided to go with the muted tones and I decided to make a mini slimline card and use also the new Blossoms mini slimline die. I die cut it twice from white cardstock and I will use some liquid adhesive to adhere those layers together to get more dimensional look. So I'm just covering the entire die cut with liquid glue. You can use spray glue if you wish. I kind of try avoid using spray so it doesn't spray everywhere and everything it touches gets sticky. So I feel like the liquid glue is less messy, but it's more tedious. So I'm putting their acrylic block to make sure that that dries nice and flat. In the meantime, I'm creating my mini slimline card base. I had a piece of cardstock that's 6 by 6 and I scored it at 3 inches. So let's see how this would look. I'm trying to decide if I want lengthwise or the card to go to be a tall or to be like portrait or landscape. So I decided to go with portrait. Again, I'm adding more glue on back of that background because now we need to adhere it onto our mini slimline card base. So if you decide to use liquid glue, make sure that you're using glue that dries clear. So it won't be visible when you're using not just white cardstock, but when you're using especially colored cardstock. So next, I'm adding more layers on back of that snail. I die cut a couple more from scrap cardstock. So it kind of creates more dimension and more weight to that snail so it's nice and sturdy. I did the same with the head and the sentiment too. Okay, now let's just assemble our card. In this video I forgot to add the hat, but I added off camera at the end and you can see that on the pictures at the end the little snail has a little hat. So here's our finished card. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Also look down in the description again for the blog hopper information and also for the supplies I use for this card. Thank you so much and see you soon. Bye!